And hello once again. My name is John. I'm going with you for another live stream tonight. Mariners and the Mets, the annual MLB Little League Classic there in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Again, my name is John, Sports Bonanza John, my YouTube handle. If you like my content here, would appreciate a like and subscribe. It would go a long way and mean a lot. Appreciate it. And on Kick as well, Sports Kick John tonight. Also have content on Twitch at Sport Guru John. I'm not on there tonight, but I do have some other content on there. If you were with me a few minutes ago, apologize for the delay there. A little bit of a rainstorm, or not rainstorm, but a little bit of a rain shower went through Williamsport, Pennsylvania. So it pushed the start time back. So I pushed my live stream back a little bit, but we are finally ready to go in Williamsport, Pennsylvania for the Mariners and the Mets in what ends up being a rubber game of this three-game series between the Mariners and the Mets. Let's run down the Mariners lineup once again tonight. Randy Arozarena in left field will lead it off. Cal Raleigh, the big power hitter with 46 home runs on the year. Catcher bats second for the Mariners. Rodriguez in center field will bat third. Naylor at first base will be the cleanup hitter. Suarez at third base will bat fifth. Polanco DHing for the Mariners tonight will bat sixth. Canzone in right field will bat seventh for the Mariners. J.P. Crawford at shortstop in the number 8 spot, and Young at second base will bat ninth to round out the Mariners batting order. Mariners come in 68 and 56. Just one game behind the first place Houston Astros in the American League West, and currently sitting in one of the 3 wildcard positions in the American League. Mets starting pitcher tonight once again will be Clay Holmes. Run down his numbers once again. He's making his 25th start of the season. 9-6 record, 3.71 ERA. He's walked 52, struck out 101 in 126 innings. He is the Mets wins leader with 9, trying to get to the double-digit win mark tonight. The Mets come into this game tonight at 65 and 58, but they have been in a big funk. They are just 3-14 in their last 17 games. They've been in a battle in the National League East all season long with the Phillies, but they have fallen 5.5 games out behind the first place Phillies. The Mets are currently still in the wild card picture in the National League, but somehow, some way are going to have to break out of this 3-14 funk they are in, and they could win a series tonight against the Mariners, something they have not done in a little while as well, trying to get out of this late season funk here in New York for the Mets. As I mentioned, this is the annual MLB Little League Classic taking place out there at historic Bowman Field in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Game that takes place annually every year during the Little League World Series, which takes place just down the road, a couple miles there in South Williamsport, Pennsylvania. That is going on right now. That action will continue tomorrow. This Little League Classic game usually does not have 2 teams with playoff implications in it, but that is not the case this year, as the Mariners and Mets are looking to qualify for postseason play. The Mariners are trying to get to the World Series for the first time ever. This team has not ever been to the World Series, been to the LCS a couple times. They had those great Griffey teams back in the late 90s and 2000s, but kept running into the Yankees each time. The Yankees knocked them out of the postseason. So the Mariners looking for their first ever World Series appearance this year, and if they keep playing the way they are right now in the American League, they have a legitimate shot to get there. So we are, after about a 45-minute rain delay, about to get things going in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. This is the final game ongoing in the major leagues. Today, everything else has gone final. Let's run down a quick check of the scoreboard real quick. Phillies 11, Nationals 9, the final there. Marlins avoid the sweep in Boston with a 5-3 win. Rangers 10, Blue Jays 4, as the Rangers win that one over the first place AL East leading Toronto Blue Jays. Braves sweep Cleveland in Cleveland 5-4. It's a big blow for Cleveland right there. The Reds, the big story of the day, they snapped the Brewers' 14-game winning streak as they win it 3-2 in 10. Another story, the Reds have not been swept still in a series this year. Orioles 12-0 over the Astros. So with that Astros loss, if the Mariners win this game tonight, they're within a half a game of the first-place Astros in the American League West. Royals sweep the White Sox yet again as they win it 6-2. Twins 8, Tigers 1. Yankees sweep the Cardinals 8-4. Cubs 4, Pirates 3 to take that series. Rockies over the Diamondbacks 6-5. Giants 7, Rays 1 to snap their 7-game losing streak. Dodgers 5, Padres 4. Dodgers lead the NL West by 2. And the Angels in 10, 11-5 over the A's. That's a quick check of the MLB scoreboard on this Sunday. And we are underway as Arozarena takes the first pitch and gets hit by Holmes. The first pitch got away from Holmes, and that hits Arozarena in the back. And on one pitch, Arozarena will take first base. And that will bring up the big slugger for the Mariners, Cal Raleigh. 250 on the season, 46 home runs, and 100 RBIs. Leads the majors in both those categories. As that pitch clearly got away from Holmes as it hit Arozarena on the back of the left shoulder. So he is aboard at first base. Holmes is pitched to Cal Raleigh, and here it is. It's down low for ball one. Raleigh, I would think, has to be the front runner at this point for American League MVP, as he is putting up some monster numbers this year. Here's the 1-0 pitch from Holmes, a throw back to first. Arozarena dives back. Arozarena is the team's stolen base leader with 24, so he is definitely a stolen base threat over there at first base. Another lead at first from Arozarena, and the 1-0 pitch coming from Holmes to Cal Raleigh. Raleigh hits it foul, first base side. That'll leave him to count a ball and a strike. All the Little League teams in attendance at this ball game tonight. And Raleigh awaits the 1-1 pitch from Holmes. Down low, 2 balls and a strike now on Cal Raleigh. This is a Mariners team that as a team hits 243, so not a real big offensive threat as a team, hitting to 243, but they do have some big bats in that lineup, and Raleigh's one of them, and now he's ahead in the count 3-1. And here comes a 3-1 delivery from Holmes to Raleigh. Swing and a miss, and that runs the count full 3-2, so we'll see if Arozarena will try to take off from first base. Raleigh resets himself in the batter's box. And here comes a 3-2 payoff pitch from Holmes to Raleigh. Arozarena does not go from first, and Raleigh fouls it off, and we'll do another 3-2. Holmes wanting to watch how he pitches this 3-2 payoff pitch to Raleigh. And here it comes. Swing and a miss. He got him. Raleigh strikes out for the first out. And that will bring up the Mariners center fielder, Julio Rodriguez. Rodriguez, a .257 hitter with 24 home runs. He's drove in 69. Is the leader in hits for the Mariners, as there's a strike to Rodriguez. Rodriguez out of the Dominican Republic. And the 0-1 pitch from Holmes is hit foul, and Rodriguez now in an 0-2 hole. Rosarena still standing at first after being hit by a pitch with one out. 0-2 pitch on the way, hit to third. That's an easy double play. To second one, on to first for a double play, and that ends the top of the first inning for the Mariners. Leadoff hit by pitch, but nothing further. And we go to the bottom of the first inning. It's the Mariners nothing. The Mets coming up to bat here. As the Mariners will send to the mound tonight, George Kirby gets the start on the mound for the Mariners tonight, making his 16th start of the year. Record of 8-5 with an ERA of 3.71. He's walked 20 and struck out 90 in 85 innings. As he will face this lineup for the Mets, as they will line up as follows. Francisco Lindor, the shortstop, will lead it off. Juan Soto in right field will bat second. Brandon Nimmo in left field, his number 3 hitter. Pete Alonso is the cleanup hitter tonight at first base. McNeil DHing tonight for the Mets. He bats 5th. Alvarez, the catcher, in the number 6 spot. Beatty at second base will bat 7th. Vientos at third base will bat 8th, and Mullins in center field bats 9th and rounds out the batting order for the New York Mets tonight, who come in 65 and 58. Mentioned 5.5 games behind the first place Philadelphia Phillies in the NL East, as the Phillies have pulled away a little bit in that NL East race, as the Mets and Phillies have been in that battle all season long in the NL East. The Mets still in the picture in the wild card right now, but just 3-14 in their last 17 games. They have hit a serious funk here, and not the time of the season to do it. Still time, obviously, with 39 games or so left in the season. Francisco Lindor will lead it off here in the bottom of the first for the Mets. Lindor on the season hitting .255. He's got 24 home runs. He's drove in 70. He is the Mets hits leader on the season with 125. And on a Sunday evening in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, not a seat to be had at historic Bowman Field. And the first pitch from Kirby in the bottom of the first to Francisco Lindor is right down the middle for strike one. Strike one pitch to Lindor, fouled away, and it's 0-2. $79 Sunday evening in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. The 0-2 pitch is way high, 1-2 now. Nate Tomlinson, the home plate umpire tonight, calls the balls and strikes. Bruce Dreckman over at first base. Mark Wegner at second, and Shane Liffensparger is over at third base. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Lindor rips this one into right field, and Lindor's got himself a leadoff single here in the bottom of the first. So leadoff man on for the Mets. And it brings up Juan Soto. Mets right fielder on the season hitting .252. 30 home runs. He's drove in 71. He is the home run leader on the Mets with his 30. And Kirby works to Juan Soto. Takes a strike at the knees, 0-1. Soto steps back in the box and awaits Kirby's 0-1 pitch. And Kirby, and now they've got Lindor picked off at first base. Kirby threw over to first base, and Lindor was on his way to second base, and he was a dead duck once that happened, and the tag applied for the first out. So Lindor erased, and now it's 1 out and nobody on for the Mets. Kirby's 0-1 pitch to Soto. Up high, 1-1. One pitch. Soto up the middle, fielded there, and the throw over to first in time from Crawford. Over to Naylor for the second out in the bottom of the first. And the batter will be Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo hitting .253 on the year, 20 home runs. He's drove in 67. And Kirby's pitch to Nimmo is down low. They check over to third base. No swing. And it's 1-0. 1-0 pitch on the ground back to Kirby. And the throw over to first in time to retire Nimmo, and that retires the Mets in the bottom of the first. They get a leadoff single. But that's it. End of 1 in Williamsport. Mariners nothing, Mets nothing. So both teams get their leadoff runners on in the first inning, but do nothing further after that. Give you some other sports news from around the country. Here between innings, BMW Championship, their second leg of the PGA Tour playoffs. Scotty Scheffler wins again. That's his 5th win of the year. So he wins the BMW by 2 shots. Robert McIntyre had led that tournament for the first 3 rounds, but just could not finish that off as Scheffler came back on the final round to win it by 2. And again, the big story in baseball today, the Brewers' 14-game winning streak comes to a close in Cincinnati as the Reds come back, tie it in the 9th, and win it in the 10th, 3-2. The Brewers have an 8-game lead over the Cubs in the National League Central, and those 2 teams begin a 5-game series at Wrigley starting tomorrow. They've got a makeup doubleheader, or got a doubleheader from a makeup game earlier today, tomorrow, and then 3 games on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So that will decide if the Cubs are going to be able to stay in the race for the division or if the Brewers are going to run away with that. Figure the Cubs are probably going to have to take no less than 4 of those 5 to have any kind of chance in the National League Central race. So back here, no score after 1 between the Mariners and the Mets. It's going to be Naylor, the Mariner first baseman, leading it off here in the top of the 2nd. Josh Naylor in his 20th game with the Mariners. He came over from Arizona earlier in the season. First pitch, top of the 2nd, is outside to Naylor, ball 1. Naylor hitting .275 since coming over to Seattle. And Naylor pops that out of play. Count will go to 1-1. Naylor will be followed in the Mariners lineup by Suarez and Polanco here in the 2nd inning. And here comes the 1-1 pitch. Naylor fouls that off, and it's now a ball and 2 strikes. Holmes delivers the 1-2 pitch to Naylor, and Naylor will step out. Naylor resets back in the box and will await the 1-2 pitch from Holmes. And here it is. Down low, 2-2. Here comes a 2-2 pitch from Holmes to Naylor. Naylor rips that one foul, and it will stay 2-2. Two-two pitch from Holmes to Naylor. Hit foul again. That, I think, got the top of Naylor's foot. I'll have to walk that one off. Seventh pitch of the at-bat coming up from Holmes to Naylor. Naylor mentioned hitting 275 since coming over to the Mariners. 289 overall on the year between the Diamondbacks and the Mariners. 2-2 pitch. Hit foul again, and here comes pitch number 8 of the at-bat. Two-two pitch on the way. Naylor sends it in the air to right field. Playable out there. And the catch made in right field for the first out as Soto makes the catch. One down in the Mariners' second. And the batter will be Eugenio Suarez. Another midseason pickup for the Mariners. Also from Arizona. Suarez in his 16th game with the Mariners tonight. Overall hitting at 235 on the season is Suarez, and there's strike one. Here's the 0-1 pitch from Holmes to Suarez. Swing and a miss, and Suarez is behind 0-2. Here comes the strike 2 pitch. On the ground, nice diving play at third, and the throw over to first is too high. And Suarez will reach at first. It was a diving stop over there at third by Vientos, but the throw was a little high, and Suarez is aboard for the Mariners. That's probably going to be scored a base hit, I would think. Because even if the throw was on target, don't know that they would have had him. So the batter is the Mariner DH now, Jorge Polanco, hitting at 242 on the year with 18 home runs. He's drove in 53. Polanco sends this in the air to center field pretty well, but just shy of the warning track in center field. Mullins makes the catch for out number 2. Polanco gave that a little bit of a ride, but to the deepest part of the ballpark, and there's out number 2. And it'll bring up Dominic Canzone for the Mariners with 2 outs, hitting 284. 7 home runs, drove in 20 on the year. Suarez the lead from first with 2 outs, and the pitch from Holmes is a little outside for ball 1. 1-0 pitch. On the ground to second. And that will end the top of the second for the Mariners. They get the hit from Suarez, but he's stranded at first. Inning and a half in the books in Williamsport. Mariners nothing, Mets nothing. For the Mariners in the bottom of the second, it's going to be 4, 5, and 6. Alonso, McNeil, and Alvarez against Kirby. Here in the bottom of the second inning. Get you previewed on some midweek series, some big midweek series around Major League Baseball. I already told you, a 5-game series getting ready to start tomorrow at Wrigley between the Brewers and the Cubs. Also, a couple big midweek series coming up in Detroit. For one, the Astros and the Tigers. The Astros have some company atop the American League West. If the Mariners can win this game tonight, the Astros lead in the AL West is going to be down to a single half game. Mariners will head to Philadelphia after this to start a series with the Phillies. Mets will have a day off tomorrow before starting a series on Tuesday against the Washington Nationals. Giants Padres, that's also looking like a pretty good series in the midweek, starting in San Diego tomorrow night. As the Padres lost in LA today, as they were swept by the Dodgers. Padres came in with a 1-game lead in the National League East. But after this weekend series with the Dodgers, they end 2 back of the Dodgers in the National League West as they were swept in LA this weekend. So off we go to the bottom of the second here between the Mets and the Mariners. It's going to be Pete Alonso leading it off in the bottom of the second for the Mets. Alonso hitting .268, leading the team in batting average. 28 home runs, and he also is at the 100 RBI mark on the season. Tied with Cal Raleigh for the major league lead. The first pitch of the bottom of the second to Alonso. Couldn't hold up on a swing there, and it's strike one. Alonso steps back in and awaits Kirby's 0-1 pitch. On the ground, up the middle and through into center field for a base hit. And Alonso leads off the bottom of the second with a leadoff single. And that will bring up the designated hitter for the Mets, Jeff McNeil. McNeil on the season hitting .250. He's got 9 home runs. He's drove in 35 on the year. Pitch to McNeil right there at the knee, strike one. Alonso at first, not a stolen base threat. He's only got 1 the whole season. The strike one pitch from Kirby to McNeil. Into left field, and that's going to drop for a base hit. And the Mets have the first 2 on here at the bottom of the second inning. So first and second for the Mets here in the bottom of the second inning, and it will bring up the catcher, Alvarez. Alvarez, the Mets catcher, hitting .254 on the year with 7 home runs. He's drove in 23. So an early RBI opportunity for the Mets in this one. Pitch from Kirby to Alvarez, right down the middle, strike one. Alvarez out of Venezuela. Here comes the strike one pitch from Kirby to Alvarez. That's low and outside. Counts even, a ball and a strike. One pitch. Swing and a miss by Alvarez. Now 1-2. Alonso at second, McNeil at first here in the second for the Mets, with nobody out. The 1-2 pitch on the way from Kirby to Alvarez. Hit foul, stays 1-2. Another 1-2 pitch. Alvarez sends it in the air to left center field, and that is going to not be caught out there. It's going to roll to the wall. Alonso will score. Alvarez at second with a double. McNeil is held at third because it wasn't for sure if Rodriguez was going to come up with that or not. But an RBI double for Alvarez gives the Mets the first run of the night. It's 1-0. It was a diving attempt out there by Rodriguez, the center fielder. Couldn't quite come up with it. And it ends up an easy RBI double after that. And it will bring up now Brett Baty for the Mets. Hitting .239, 13 home runs, 38 driven in. And the pitch is a little high to Baty, ball one. So still nobody out for the Mets here in the second. As the Mets strike first in this one. Here's the 1-0 pitch from Kirby to Baty. Hit foul. That'll even count a ball and a strike. One pitch. Hit foul, and Baty now behind 1-2. Vientos on deck for the Mets. Baty steps back in the box and awaits Kirby's 1-2 pitch. And here it is. Up high. That evens the count, 2-2. Two-two pitch. Down low, and that fills the count, 3-2. Here comes a 3-2 payoff pitch from Kirby to Baty. Hit foul. This will be pitch number 7 of the at-bat. Another 3-2 pitch from Kirby to Baty on the way. And here it is. Baty into center field for a base hit. That's going to score McNeil. The throw is cut off by the pitcher, so Alvarez holds at third. 4 consecutive hitters have reached for the Mets here in the second, and it's 2-0. And that will bring up Vientos. Mets third baseman tonight. Hitting on the season at .227. He's got 7 home runs and he's drove in 32 as we have a meeting on the mound. As Kirby has allowed 4 straight batters to reach here in the bottom of the second inning. Vientos steps in. And the pitch from Kirby. Little low for ball 1. Number 8 hitter in the Mets lineup, Vientos. One 0 pitch. That's downstairs. It's now 2-0. Pitch on the way from Kirby to Vientos. Vientos swings away. That's definitely going to get a run home, if nothing else, into center field. Catch made out there, and the throw comes back into second base, and a sacrifice fly makes it 3-0. So Vientos does his job. He brings in Alvarez on a sac fly, and 3 in here in the second for the Mets. It's 3-0. And it will bring up Cedric Mullins, the number 9 hitter. Mets center fielder acquired earlier in the season from the Orioles. Overall in the season, Mullins hitting at .221. Mullins hits it foul, strike 1. $16 home runs overall in the season for Mullins. He's drove in 53. But since coming over to the Mets, hitting just .159. Lead at first from Beatty, and the pitch to Mullins is fouled back. And Mullins now behind in the count, 0-2. .0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Mullins goes down on strikes for the second out. And that will bring it back to the top of the order in Francisco Lindor. Lindor singled to lead off the bottom of the first for the Mets. And Kirby delivers. 1 hop to second base, then the short route over to second, and that will do it for the Mets in the bottom of the second. But 4 straight Mets reach in the inning and 3 score. We've played 2 in the Little League Classic in Williamsport. Mets lead the Mariners 3-0. Mariners will send up 8, 9, and 1 in the batting order. Crawford, Young, and then the top of the order, Arozarena, due up in the third inning against Holmes, who now goes to the mound with a lead for his team of 3-0. Mentioned after this series, the Mets start a series with the Washington Nationals. Mariners start a series in Philadelphia. Then the Mariners finally return back home this weekend as they will host their AL West rival Athletics for a weekend series. Mets consecutive divisional series. They've got the series with the Nationals, and then over the weekend they travel to Atlanta for a series with the Braves. Braves starting to play a lot better ball here as they just swept Cleveland over the weekend. Cleveland was on that roll trying to catch Detroit in the American League Central, but they were swept at home. While the Tigers took 2 of 3 in Minnesota over the Twins this weekend. Top of the third inning here in this one, 3-0. Mets lead the Mariners as J.P. Crawford will lead off the top of the third for Seattle. Mariners shortstop on the season hitting .262, 9 home runs. He's drove in 44 on the year. And the first pitch, top of the third inning, is a strike. Strike one pitch on the way. That's at the knees as well. 0-2, the count now on J.P. Crawford. The 0-2 pitch. That's a little high, 1-2. One-two pitch on the way. Crawford lines it into right. That is foul. Just pulled it foul down the right field line, and we stay 1-2. A packed house at historic Bowman Field in Williamsport, Pennsylvania for the annual MLB Little League Classic. And here comes another 1-2 pitch. Swing and a foul ball. That got Crawford in the box. As he dropped down on that one, and the trainer going to come out to have a look at Crawford as that foul ball hit him square. He says he's fine. That ball came up and hit him in the left leg and then caromed over to his right leg. So that was a double whammy on that foul ball. Crawford steps back in and awaits another 1-2 pitch. Crawford lines that one into right field for a base hit. So Crawford starts off the top of the third for the Mariners with a leadoff single. And it'll bring up the number 9 hitter in the Mariners lineup, Cole Young. Young hitting at .253 on the season. He's got 3 home runs. He's drove in 19. As the Mariners look to start a comeback here, down by 3 in the top of the third. Holmes delivers to Young. Strike one. Lead at first from Crawford. The 0-1 pitch is on the ground to second. The throw over to second, 1 on to first is too late. Young too speedy to turn that double play, but they do erase Crawford at second base with 1 out. And that will bring us back to the top of the order, Randy Arozarena. He was hit by a pitch on the first pitch of the game. Arozarena takes low and outside for ball one. Little leaguers sitting behind the home plate, starting a little chant back there. I believe that is the Panama kids. 1-0 pitch is foul. That got the top of Arozarena's foot. And it's now 1-1. One pitch on the way from Holmes to Arozarena. And here it comes. Down low, the snap throw back to first. And diving back in over there is Young. Young not a threat to steal. He only has one total on the season. Very short lead at first base from Young, and here comes the 2-1 pitch. Swing and a miss from Arozarena. It's now 2-2. Big slugger Cal Raleigh is on deck. The 2-2 to Arozarena, hit to left and foul. Nice catch over there in the picnic area by a fan. Here comes another 2-2 pitch. Arozarena stays alive, barely. Just got a piece of that one to foul it off. Another 2-2 pitch coming. Just missed low, and that will fill the count, 3-2. Payoff pitch from Holmes to Arozarena. Swing and a miss. He got him. Arozarena strikes out for the second out, and it will bring up Cal Raleigh. That was a hard swing by Arozarena. And here is Cal Raleigh, who is a strikeout victim his first time up against Holmes. Comes up with a runner at first and 2 outs. Raleigh hits it foul. You know, all the little leaguers in attendance tonight would love to see Raleigh hit one out of here. Oh, 1 is inside, and again the snap throw back to first as Young has to dive back, and he does safely. 1-1, now the count on Raleigh. It's the 1-1 pitch. Down low, now 2-1. Raleigh looks in, and the 2-1 pitch from Holmes. They say Raleigh went around, and it's 2-2. That was ball 3, but Raleigh couldn't hold up his swing. Two-two offering from Holmes to Cal Raleigh. In the air, left field. And playable along the left field line out there is Nimmo for out number 3, and the Mariners finished in the third inning. They strand a runner at first. 2.5 in the books in Williamsport. It's the Mets still leading the Mariners 3-0. As it is going to be the 2, 3, and 4 hitters for the Mets, Soto, Nimmo, and Alonso. Due up here in the bottom half of inning number 3. As the Mets, mentioned at the outset, currently in possession of that third and final wild card spot in the National League. As trying to get back on track, as they have lost 14 of their last 17 games, as they have hit a bad funk here in the month of August. The Mariners, meanwhile, not only have postseason aspirations, as they have one of the wild card spots in the American League, they have thoughts of catching the Astros in the American League West. They come into the night just a game behind the first place Astros in the American League West. And a Mariners team that, assuming they do end up making postseason play, can be a very, very dangerous team in the American League. The Mets, if they qualify for the postseason, can be a dangerous team in the National League if we see the Mets team that played the first 4 months of the season, not the Mets team that showed up here in the month of August so far. But if they can get a series win here, that may start to switch the momentum back in their favor. And they're in good shape right now, leading this one 3-0 here in the bottom of the third inning. It's going to be Juan Soto leading it off here in the bottom of the third for the Mets. Against Kirby, who hit a rough patch there in the second inning. He gave up 4 consecutive hits in the second inning and gave up the 3 runs. So Soto steps in the box here to lead off the bottom of the third inning for the Mets, trying to add to their 3-run lead at this point. Not a seat to be had, it does not appear. And the first pitch in the bottom of the third is down low, ball 1. One-0 pitch. There's a strike. That will even the count, a ball and a strike. Kirby's 1-1 to Soto is a little low. He did a check swing there to third base, but it didn't look like Soto was anywhere near swinging the bat there. It's 2-1. 2-1 offering. Down low, it's now 3-1 to Soto to lead off the bottom of the third. Here comes the 3-1 pitch. That is high for ball 4, and Soto draws a leadoff walk here in the bottom of the third. And that will bring up Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo 0 for 1 so far. And Nimmo takes a strike at the knees, 0-1. The strike 1 pitch. Nimmo fouls it off, and Nimmo now behind 0-2. Soto at first base, very much a stolen base threat. He's got 19 of those this year. The 0-2 pitch to Nimmo, upstairs, 1-2. One-two pitch. Swing and a miss, strike three. Nimmo goes down on strikes for the first out at the bottom of the third. And it'll bring up the Mets cleanup hitter, Pete Alonso. Alonso singled and scored in that 3-run second for the Mets. Kirby delivers. Alonso takes strike one. Strike one pitch. That hit the outside corner, 0-2. Comes the strike two pitch on the way. Here it is. That's down low. Nice stop back there by Raleigh. It's now 1-2. Lead at first from Soto. He's standing there with one out. And the 1-2 pitch. Downstairs evens the count, 2-2. Kirby steps back in and delivers the 2-2 pitch to Alonso. Upstairs, and Alonso is battled back to a full count. So with one out, we'll see if Soto takes off from first base. Not a huge lead over there from first. 3-2 pitch. Soto does not go, and it's ball four. Second walk of the inning, and the Mets have runners at first and second with one out. For the DH, Jeff McNeil. McNeil also singled and scored in that 3-run second. RBI chance here with a runner in scoring position and one out. And time called before the first pitch to McNeil. And the pitch. McNeil sends it in the air to right. Playable out there in right field. The catch made by Canzone. A throw back to second, and Soto barely gets back. He almost took off too far from second base, but Soto does get back now with two outs. Bring up Alvarez with 2 outs and 2 on. Alvarez had an RBI double last inning. And the pitch to Alvarez is on the ground to short. They'll go the short route over to second, and that'll do it for the Mets. In the bottom of the third, they get 2 on, but they strand the 2. We've played a third of this one in Williamsport. Mets lead the Mariners 3-0. It's going to be the 3, 4, and 5 hitters for the Mariners. Rodriguez, Naylor, and Suarez in the top of the 4th inning. against Holmes, who has only allowed 2 Mariners hits through the first 3 innings. And this game, of course, as I've mentioned throughout the broadcast, is the annual MLB Little League Classic that takes place every year in Williamsport, Pennsylvania during Little League World Series week, which takes place just a couple miles down the road in South Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And as someone who has been there, if you're a true sports fan, that is a sporting event that has got to be on your bucket list calendar. If you're a true sports fan, a trip over there to South Williamsport, Pennsylvania. It is quite the experience. And imagine any sports fan has to put that on their bucket list as places you have to get to. That's a phenomenal experience out there. South Williamsport does a great job every year as they live for that event year in and year out. One of the best sporting events in all of sports all season long, in my opinion. That will resume tomorrow with a couple games over there in South Williamsport. But here in the meantime, on a Sunday night, it is a 3-0 lead for the Mets over the Mariners as we get set to go to the top of the 4th inning. And it'll be the 3, 4, and 5 hitters for the Mariners. Rodriguez, Naylor, and Suarez. As Rodriguez will lead it off in the Mariners' 4th. Oh for 1 so far in this one. First pitch, top 4, fouled away, strike 1. Oh, 1 pitch, that's at the knees, 0-2. Oh, 2 pitch, that's lined into right field and not able to get it out there as Soto. That's going to roll to the wall, and Rodriguez has a leadoff double for the Mariners here in the top of the 4th. Soto tried to get to it, but it was out of his reach, and that ends up a leadoff double for Rodriguez here in the top of the 4th inning. Rodriguez with his 22nd double of the season. And it'll bring up Naylor. Naylor 0 for 1 so far in the game. And the pitch, Naylor fouls it off, strike 1. A 1 pitch is low on the slider. That evens the count, a ball and a strike. One pitch on the way. To Naylor. That's foul ball. It's now a ball and 2 strikes. One-two pitch on the way. Time called by the home plate umpire. 1-2 pitch. Called strike 3, and Naylor knew it. That was right there at the knees. Strikeout number 3 for Holmes, and that's the first out here in the top of the 4th. We'll bring up Suarez with the runner at second and 1 out. Suarez singled his first time in this game. And the pitch, down low, ball 1. This MLB Little League Classic, they do questionnaires like they do for the Little Leaguers, and Eugenio Suarez says his favorite food is arepa, A-R-E-P-A. I must admit I do not know what that is. 2-0 pitch. There's a strike, 2-1. Suarez looks in and awaits the 2-1 pitch from Holmes, and here it is. Swing and a miss. That evens the count, 2-2. Rodriguez standing at second, 2-2 on the way, hit to short. Long throw across to first in time for out number 2. Rodriguez does advance to third, but there are now 2 outs. And that will bring up Polanco with 2 outs. Polanco 0 for 1 on the night so far. The pitch to him is right down the middle, strike 1. Runner at third, 2 outs for the Mariners here in the 4th. Mariners hoping not to squander the leadoff double. That pitch is down low, and that will even the count, a ball and a strike. That was pitch number 60 for Holmes here in the 4th inning. One pitch, hit foul, and now it's 1-2, the count on Polanco. One-two pitch to Polanco. Into center, over the head, and a base hit. Mariners will be on the board on an RBI single by Polanco. That was just out of the reach of Lindor into short center field, and it makes it a 3-1 ball game. And Canzone will step up for the Mariners with 2 outs, representing the tying run. Canzone fouls it off for strike 1. A 1 pitch on the way. Throw over to first instead. Polanco back. Polanco has 5 stolen bases on the season. Does not have a big lead over at first base. And the 0-1. Down low. Check swing over to third. And no swing, says the third base umpire. That evens the count 1-1. Comes the 1-1 pitch. On the ground and through into right field for a base hit. Rounding second and heading to third is Polanco, and the Mariners have runners at the corners now with 2 outs. For the shortstop, J.P. Crawford. So the tying run now on for the Mariners. Crawford coming up to the plate represents the go-ahead run. And now a meeting on the mound as Holmes has run into a little bit of trouble here in the top of the 4th. Run in for the Mariners here in the 4th, and they have two men on with 2 out. Meeting on the mound is over. And a strike call. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Down low, that evens the count, a ball and a strike. One delivery on the way from Holmes to Crawford. Little low, now 2-1. Number 9 hitter Cole Young is on deck. Polanco over at third, Canzone, the runner at first base. And here comes the 2-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. That'll even the count 2-2. A 2-2 payoff pitch on the way. From Holmes to Crawford, down low, and that will fill the count, 3-2. So Canzone will be taking off from first base. As Holmes has just hit the 70 pitch mark, and he's not out of the 4th inning yet. The 3-2 payoff pitch on the way. There goes Canzone from first base, and we'll do it again as it's fouled away third base side. Another payoff pitch coming from Holmes to Crawford. Upstairs, ball 4, and the bases are loaded with 2 outs. For Young. So a base hit here to the outfield more than likely will tie this game, and the Mets starting to get their bullpen loosening. as Holmes throws his 73rd pitch of the game, and it's ball one outside to Young. Holmes 1-0 pitch to Young. That's low. It's 2-0. No place to put him with the bases loaded. Mariners already with one in here in the fourth, looking for more. And the 2-0 pitch on the way from Holmes to Young. That is inside. It is now 3-0 to the number 9 hitter, Cole Young. I would think there wouldn't be any way he's going to swing at this next pitch. Here comes the 3-0. That is a strike call. 3-1 now, the count. See if he will have the green light here on 3-1. The top of the order, Arozarena, is on deck. And Holmes' 3-1 pitch to Young. In the air, popped up shallow center. Lindor calls and makes the catch to end the inning. The Mariners get one, but leave the bases loaded. As we go to the bottom of the fourth inning, Mets leading this game 3-1. It'll be the bottom third of the Mets order. Beatty, Vientos, and Mullins due up in the bottom half of the fourth inning. So the Mets give up one there in the fourth, but it could have been a lot worse. This game being played at Bowman Field in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. A little bit of history in Bowman Field. It opened back in 1926. So approaching the 100-year anniversary of this historic ballpark. It's had a lot of minor league teams there in the past. Currently does not have one. It does have a collegiate summer league team that plays there, as well as this annual MLB Little League Classic. One of the more historic ballparks in the country, Bowman Field there in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. Always played, as I mentioned earlier, always played in Williamsport during the week and a half that the Little League World Series is going on just across the river in South Williamsport, Pennsylvania. As I mentioned, that resumes tomorrow with a couple games. And here in this one this year, it's the Mets leading the Mariners 3-1, as it'll be, as I mentioned, 7, 8, and 9 for the Mets coming up in the bottom of the fourth. As Beatty will lead it off for the Mets. Beatty 1 for 1. He drove in a run in that 3-run second inning for the Mets. As it'll be Kirby back to work in the fourth for the Mariners. Currently at the 49 pitch mark through 3. Both these teams led by second-year managers Dan Wilson, of course, former catcher for the Mariners in his playing career. Carlos Mendoza in his second year as head coach of the Mets, as manager of the Mets. There's a strike to begin the bottom of the fourth. Comes the strike one pitch. Down low. That evens the count of ball and a strike. One offering on the way from Kirby to Beatty. On the ground is short. Easy play there, and the throw to first to retire Beatty, and there's out number 1 here in the bottom of the fourth. We'll bring up Vientos. Drove in a run on a sacrifice fly in the 4th inning. And the pitch. Strike at the knees. Oh, 1 delivery from Kirby down low. That evens the count, a ball and a strike on Vientos. One to Vientos in the air, left center field. That's going to drop for a base hit. And Vientos is aboard with a 1-out single here in the 4th. And it will bring up Mullins, number 9 hitter. Strikeout victim his first time against Kirby. First pitch down low in the dirt for ball 1. Nice stop back there by Raleigh to keep that from going to the backstop. It's the 1-0 pitch. That's right there for strike 1. Evens the count, a ball and a strike. One pitch. Down low again. Again, a good stop by Raleigh. 2-1 now. Two-one pitch. Hit foul. That'll even the count 2-2. A 2-2 pitch on the way from Kirby to Mullins. Called strike 3. Mullins did not care for that call as he walks back to the dugout. 3rd strikeout for Kirby. And there are 2 down here in the bottom of the 4th. Brings us back to the top of the order in Lindor. It's 1 for 2 with a single in this game. Pitch to Lindor. That is ripped into right for a base hit. It'll be 1st and 2nd for the Mets with 2 outs. And the batter will be Juan Soto. Soto 0 for 1 on the night. He has reached on a walk. Soto coming over to the Mets this year. RBI chance for him here with 2 outs. Kirby delivers to Soto. Down low, another good stop by Raleigh back there. Ball 1. Kirby brings the 1-0 pitch to Soto. Down low, it's 2-0. Brandon Nimmo is on deck for the Mets. Mariners got a run in the top of this inning. Mets trying to answer that here in the bottom half. 2-0 pitch. There at the knees for strike one. 2-1 now the count. Soto steps out of the box right before the 2-1 pitch. Two-one pitch on the wave. To Soto. Down low again. It's now 3-1. The 3-1. Ball 4, and that loads the bases for the Mets with 2 outs for Brandon Nimmo. A big spot in this game right here with the Mets already leading by 2 and having the bases loaded with 2 outs. Mariners bullpen starting to loosen now. We saw the Mets bullpen start to loosen in the top half of this inning as both pitchers really up on the pitch count here through 4 innings as Raleigh goes out to have a word with his pitcher Kirby. Just needing one more out to get out of this jam and try to keep this a 2-run deficit for Seattle. So Brandon Nimmo coming up with the bases loaded and 2 outs for the Mets here in the bottom of the 4th. Nimmo is one of the 3 strikeout victims tonight against Kirby. Vientos at third. Lindor at second. Soto at first. The base runners for the Mets. And the pitch from Kirby. Lined into center, but caught by the shortstop Crawford to end the inning. And both teams leave the bases loaded in the 4th inning. We go to the 5th. It'll be the top of the order for the Mariners due up. It is still a 3-1 lead for the Mets. Boy, that is a big get out there for the Mariners, as the Mets were threatening to bust this game open. The teams have combined to strand 11 runners on base through the first 4 innings. As I mentioned, both teams left them loaded in the 4th. As before we go to the top of the 5th inning, let's run down the baseball scoreboard again once more for you today. Phillies, a slugfest in Washington, beat the Nationals in the nation's capital 11-9. Marlins avoid the sweep in Boston as the Marlins take that game 5-3. Rangers 10, Blue Jays 4. Rangers avoid the sweep there. Braves do get the sweep in Cleveland as they win this one 5-4. Orioles shut out the Astros in Houston 12-0. Royals sweep the White Sox at home, I believe, for the 4th consecutive time in Kansas City. The Royals sweep the White Sox 6-2. Twins avoid the sweep over the first-place Tigers, winning 8-1. The story of the day, the Reds beat the Brewers 3-2-10, snapping the Brewers' 14-game winning streak. Yankees get the sweep in St. Louis over the Cardinals 8-4. Cubs take 2 of 3 over the Pirates, winning at Wrigley 4-3. Rockies 6, Diamondbacks 5. Rockies have actually won 5 out of 6. Giants snap their 7-game losing streak, beat the Rays 7-1. Dodgers 5, Padres 4. Dodgers sweep that series to go 2-up in the National League West. And the Angels in 10 beat the A's 11-5. Wrapping up the Major League Baseball scoreboard on this Sunday. And here it's the top of the order for the Mariners in the top of the 5th. As Arozarena leads off 0 for 1. Struck out and was also hit by a pitch to begin the game. And he swings and misses here for strike 1. Strike 1 pitch on the way to Arozarena, outside and low, 1-1. Holmes 1-1 pitch to Arozarena. This is going to be pitch number 80 from Holmes. And it's a ball, 2-1. Two-one pitch. Arozarena fouls it. Evens the count, 2-2. Here comes a 2-2 offering from Holmes to Arozarena. Outside and low, that fills the count, 3-2. Comes the 3-2 payoff. Called strike 3. Arozarena strikes out for the second time. And that's the first out here in the top of the 5th. And it will bring up Cal Raleigh. Pitch to Raleigh. Fouled away. Strike 1. Raleigh 0 for 2 so far tonight. Oh, 1 pitch. High and outside, a ball and a strike. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Raleigh sends it in the air to center. That's going to stay in the park. Center field, Mullins is there for out number 2. And with 2 out, nobody on, it'll bring up Rodriguez, the Mariners center fielder. Rodriguez 1 for 2, doubled and scored the Mariners' run in the 4th. And the pitch is upstairs to Rodriguez from Holmes, ball 1. That is lined to short, and Lindor right there for the grab. And the Mariners go down 1-2-3 in the 5th inning. Halfway through it in Williamsport. Still, the Mets leading the Mariners 3-1. It's going to be 4, 5, and 6 for the Mets, due up Alonso, McNeil, and Alvarez in the bottom of the 5th inning. Update the schedule on my streaming page here. I would like to do a couple baseball games for you this week. With my full-time job's been a little hectic, so we'll have to see how the schedule plays out, but would like to be on for a couple of baseball games throughout the midweek for you. for sure will be with you next Saturday. As next Saturday, this coming Saturday, I should say now, opens the season for college football. And we'll be on for a couple of live stream college football games coming up this Saturday. Plan on bringing you the game from Ireland, top 25 matchup between Iowa State and Kansas State to kick off the season. And we'll be back with you Saturday evening for an FCS matchup, the FCS kickoff game between UC Davis and Mercer. So we'll be on with 2 college football games for you as college football kicks off. Not a big schedule, as it's called week 0 to kick off the college football season. That never is a really big schedule, but it just gets you in the college football groove. And that top 25 matchup out there in Ireland, Iowa State and Kansas State, is a big one to start the season before college football gets into full swing a week from Thursday, and then that following Saturday. Got a big one that first full Saturday of college football, Texas and Ohio State. That is a huge game to start the season. That's a rematch from a college football playoff semifinal game last year. Of course, Ohio State, the defending college football national champions. So we'll be with you for some college football this weekend. Here it's 3-1 Mets as we go to the bottom of the 5th inning. It's going to be Alonso leading off. Bottom of the 5th inning for the Mets. Against Kirby, who's back to work in the 5th, currently at the 67 pitch mark. Swing and a miss by Alonso on the first pitch of the bottom of the 5th, strike 1. Alonso is 1 for 1. He's singled and scored a run. He's also walked in the game. 0-1 to Alonso, hits the inside corner, and he's quickly in an 0-2 hole. Comes a quick 0-2 pitch, down low, a ball and 2 strikes. Kirby brings a 1-2 pitch to Alonso. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Alonso goes down on strikes. And that's the first out in the bottom of the 5th. 4 strikeouts now in the game for Kirby. And it will bring up the Mets DH McNeil. McNeil's 1 for 2. He singled and scored in that Mets 3-run second inning. And a strike called here. Strike 1 pitch, down low, a ball and a strike. One offering on the way from Kirby to McNeil. Little outside, 2-1. Two-one pitch. Down low, it's now 3-1. Three-one pitch on the way. Line into center field for a base hit, and McNeil is aboard with a 1-out single here in the bottom of the 5th. We'll bring up the Mets catcher, Alvarez. Alvarez is 1 for 2. Drove in a run and scored in that 3-run second. Alvarez takes strike one on the inside corner. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Pop foul, and Alvarez now in an 0-2 hole. Oh-2 pitch on the way from Kirby to Alvarez. McNeil standing at first. 0-2 misses outside. A ball and 2 strikes. Here comes another 1-2 pitch on the way. Alvarez sends it into center. That's going to fall for a base hit. And the Mets have runners at first and second with 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th. And the batter will be Beatty. Beatty with an RBI single back in the second inning. 1 for 2 on the night. Kirby steps up to the mound and will deliver the pitch to Beatty. Down low, ball 1. As the Little League kids are trying to get the wave started in the stands. 1-0 pitch on the way. That's there at the knee, strike 1. Beatty didn't think so, but counts nonetheless even 1-1. Kirby at the 82 pitch mark. Comes the 1-1 pitch. Down low again, good stop by Raleigh. Keep the runners from advancing. 2-1 now. Mets come into the night 1 game up for that final wild card spot in the National League. Here's the 2-1 pitch. That's a strike at the knees. Beatty again didn't like the call. Count is even, 2-2. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. That's down low, and the count goes full. Three and 2 with 1 out. Payoff pitch coming from Kirby. In the air to left. Coming on for the grab out there in left field for the second out is Arozarena. And it will bring up Vientos with 2 outs. Vientos 1 for 1 in the game. He also has a sacrifice fly. It'll be up to him to drive in a run with 2 outs. Strike 1. And time called in the box from Vientos. McNeil at second. Alvarez at first. The two Mets on with 2 outs. The 0-1 pitch to Vientos. Down low. Ball and a strike. Looking ahead to the Mariners' 6th inning. It's going to be the 4, 5, and 6 hitters, Naylor, Suarez, and Polanco. Wanting to still only be down by 2. Kirby delivers the 1-1 to Vientos. That is in the air to right. Hit pretty well. Back to the wall, and it's gone. Vientos sends it out to right. It's a 3-run home run. 6-1 Mets. 8th home run of the year for Vientos. RBIs 34, 35, and 36. As he's drove in now 4 runs tonight. And the Mets, with some big insurance with that home run, now have a 5-run lead. As Cedric Mullins will now be the batter, and he takes high for ball 1. And this probably going to be the last batter for Kirby regardless. That is hit to right, fair, into the corner. Mullins rounding first, in at second with a double. So the Mets getting to Kirby here with 2 outs in the 5th. As we will reset back to the top of the order in Lindor. Lindor on the night is 2 for 3 with a couple singles. And there is a meeting on the mound. They're going to stick with Kirby for this next batter. He's currently at 91 pitches. There is action in the Mariners bullpen. Lindor coming up. Kirby resets and will deliver the pitch to Lindor. Down low again. Again, a good stop by Raleigh back there. 1-0. Offering on the way to Lindor. Swing and a miss. That'll even the count, a ball and a strike. Three-run home run and a double with 2 outs here in the 5th inning for the Mets. And here comes the 1-1 pitch. Low and outside, ball 2. 2-1 the count to Lindor. If the inning continues for the Mets, Soto is on deck. Here comes the 2-1 pitch from Kirby. Swing and a miss again. That'll even the count 2-2. Lindor, with his 2 for 3 tonight, is 12 for his last 19 at the plate. That's an over 600 batting average. Mullins, the runner at second, and the 2-2 pitch on the way. Down and inside, and the count is full again, 3-2. A 3-2 payoff pitch coming from Kirby to Lindor. Lindor sends it in the air to right center. That's hit a pretty good way. But if this one's going to stay in the park but not played in right center field, Lindor drives in a run as Mullins comes in, and it's 7-1. Boy, that looked like a play that could have been made out there. I don't know if it was lost in the lights or what happened, but it bounced on the warning track and allows the Mets to score another run. Looked like Canzone was calling for it, and then at the last minute got called off by Rodriguez, and then Rodriguez never did make the play. Yeah, he just whiffed. And Canzone and Rodriguez having a discussion out there in the outfield. That's probably Canzone's ball the whole way. So the inning continues. It's now 7-1. That's the end of the night for Kirby, as he does not make it through the fifth inning. And we're going to have a pitching change for the Mariners. New pitcher is going to be Taylor Salcedo. Just in his sixth appearance for the Mariners. ERA a little inflated, 7.71. 3 walks and 4 strikeouts in 4 2/3 innings. As he inherits a runner at second with 2 outs. 4 in the inning for the Mets. Looks like Kirby probably should have gotten through the fifth, but that misplay out there in right center field by Rodriguez has kept the inning going. And now Salcedo trying to get this final out, as the Mets have put 4 on the board to bust this game open here, 7-1. You still see the frustration on Rodriguez out there in center field. First pitch from Salcedo to Soto is bounced to first. And the play over to Salcedo, and Salcedo throws 1 pitch and finally gets the Mariners out of the bottom of the fifth inning. But the Mets with 4 in the inning. We go to the sixth. It is now the Mets 7 and the Mariners 1. As it is going to be, as I mentioned, for the Mariners here in the sixth inning, it's going to be the middle of the order, Naylor, Suarez, and Polanco. But now facing a big deficit of 6 runs and only 12 outs left. Try and get back in this game. So the final numbers on Kirby, 4 2/3 innings, 7 runs, all of them earned. Gave up 12 hits. Walked 3 and struck out 4 through 97 pitches. And he is on the hook for the loss in this one. If the Mariners do not come back, it will be his 6th loss of the season. And meanwhile, Holmes' night is over as well for the Mets, as they are going to bring on a new pitcher here in the 6th inning. Brooks Raley coming on to pitch for the Mets. His 12th appearance of the year. 1-0 record for Raley, ERA of 3 flat. Walked 4, struck out 8 in 9 innings. So both starters out, as Holmes goes 5 for the Mets, gave up 1 run. It was earned. 5 hits, walked 1, struck out 4, threw 88 pitches tonight. But he stands to get the win tonight, and if he does get the win, he will reach the double-digit win mark with 10. Would be the first Met to get there. So here we go, top of the 6th inning. It's going to be Naylor leading off. He went 0 for 2 against Holmes. As the Mariners need a big rally here, down 7-1 as we begin the 6th inning. As the Mariners mascot, the Moose, trying to get the Mariner fans in attendance. Trying to get them fired up here, as with the first pitch from Raley is outside for ball 1. 1-0 to Naylor is low, and quickly Naylor's ahead of Raley 2-0. Is a strike on the outside corner. That evens the count 2-1. Raley working very quickly on the mound. 2-1 is bounded to short. Lindor over to first, and there's the first out here in the top of the 6th inning. We'll bring up Suarez. Suarez has a hit and 2 at-bats tonight. And Suarez takes strike 1. Strike 1 pitch from Raley to Suarez. Fouled back, and Suarez in an 0-2 hole. Oh, 2 delivery to Suarez. Little low, a ball and 2 strikes. One-two pitch. Here it is from Raley to Suarez. Up high. That'll even the count 2-2 now. Two on the ground, foul, third base side, and we'll do it again. Suarez steps back in the box and awaits another 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He got him. Raley strikes out Suarez, and there's the second out in the top of the 6th inning. And the batter will be Polanco. Polanco singled and drove in the Mariners' run back in the 4th inning. And Polanco takes a strike at the knees. Polanco swings through that one, and he's quickly in an 0-2 hole here. Polanco resets himself and gets set for the 0-2 pitch from Raley. Bounce to third. That's going to go into foul territory, and we will do it again. Mets with 3 in the second and 4 in the fifth. Mariners got their run in the fourth. The strike 2 pitch on the way once again to Polanco. Outside. 1-2. Raley's 1-2 pitch to Polanco, and here it is. That is ripped into left field. That's going to get down and go to the wall. Polanco rounding first, and he will be in at second with a 2-out double for the Mariners here in the sixth. So Polanco keeps the inning alive, and Canzoni will step up. He's 1 for 2 tonight. That is hit number 6 on the night now for the Mariners. And the pitch is inside for ball 1. Canzoni calls for time. Canzoni steps back in the box, and Raley delivers the 1-0. That's outside, 2-0. Comes the 2-0 pitch. Outside. It's now 3-0. .30 pitch on the way. Canzoni taking all the way, and it's a strike, 3-1. See if he has the green light here on 3-1. He takes, and it's outside for ball 4. So 2 on now for the Mariners with 2 outs. For J.P. Crawford. So Raley got the first 2 outs very easily here, but has run into a problem trying to get that third out here in the 6th inning. Mets bullpen starting to loosen once again. J.P. Crawford, the batter, with 2 on and 2 out. Crawford has reached base both times. He's singled and he's reached on a walk. Pitch on the way to J.P. Crawford from Raley. Lined into left center, but that's going to be caught. Vientos goes back and makes the catch to retire the Mariners in the 6th inning. They get two on, but strand the 2 runners. Mariners have now left 7 on base through 6 innings. As we go to the bottom of the 6th inning, it is still the Mets 7 and the Mariners 1. Nimmo, Alonso, and McNeil due up for the Mets in the bottom of the 6th inning with a comfortable lead in this one of 7-1. And with Saucedo having thrown just 1 pitch to get out of the 5th inning. He will probably be back out there for the Mariners here in the 6th. So the Mets, as I mentioned earlier, Mets come into this game losers of 14 of their last 17 games. They have fallen 5.5 games behind the Phillies in the National League East and just a game up on that final wild card spot in the National League. If they can get this series here, they haven't won a series in quite a while. If they can get this series here, it might start to change the momentum back in their favor. As I mentioned earlier, they begin a series against the Nationals coming up on Tuesday. That's a series. If you're the Mets, that's a series you have to win. Got the Nationals and the Braves, the bottom 2 teams in the National League East, coming up in these next 2 series. Those are 2 series that are absolute must-wins at this point for the Mets. And meanwhile, the Mariners, I mentioned, trying to catch the Astros in the American League West. They enter the night just 1 game back of the Astros, but trouble here. And they do not have an easy series coming up, as they're going to head to Philadelphia to take on the Phillies. That series starts tomorrow night up there at Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia. So as we go to the bottom of the 6th inning here, it's a 7-1 lead for the Mets. And it will be Nimmo leading it off in the bottom of the 6th for the Mets. Nimmo has an 0-for-3 night going. Mets have out-hit the Mariners in this game, 12-6. Been an error-free game to this point. First pitch, bottom of the 6th, is low, ball 1. And Salcedo is back out there for the Mariners on the mound. 1-0 pitch, Nimmo fouls off, and that'll even the count of ball and a strike. One. Down low. Counts now even, or goes to 2-1 rather. 2-1 pitch. Hit foul. That'll even the count 2-2. Two-two pitch from Salcedo to Nimmo. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Nimmo down on strikes. He's now 0-for-4 tonight. And that's the first out in the bottom of the 6th. And the batter will be Pete Alonso. Alonso 1-for-2 in the game. Singled, reached on a walk, and scored a run in this one. Pitch to Alonso is right there for strike 1. Strike 1 pitch. Misses down low. That'll even the count of ball and a strike. 1-1 pitch. Swing and a miss. Now a ball and 2 strikes to Alonso. One, two. Hit foul, and we'll do it again. 1-2 pitch. Down low. 2-2. Two-two pitch. Swing and a miss. Back-to-back strikeouts for Salcedo here in the bottom of the 6th. 2 down in the inning, and it'll bring up McNeil. McNeil's had a good night for the Mets, 2 for 3. Singled twice and scored twice in this one. He comes up with the bases empty and 2 outs and a strike on the first pitch to McNeil. 0-1 pitch, swing and a miss. McNeil in an 0-2 hole. Salcedo gets set to deliver the 0-2 pitch to McNeil. Down low, a ball and 2 strikes. Looking ahead to the Mariners' 7th inning. Going to be 9-1-2. Young, and then the top of the order are Arozarena and Raleigh. As they look to get a rally going. Here's the 1-2 pitch to McNeil. Bounce to first. Naylor fields it and steps on the first base bag to end the bottom of the 6th. Mets retired 1-2-3 in the 6th. On we go to inning number 7. All Mets in this one so far as they lead the Mariners 7-1. As it will be, as I mentioned, Young, Arozarena, and Raleigh due up in the 7th inning for the Mariners, as they are trailing in this game 7-1. Looking to get a rally started and have just 9 outs left in the game to do so. Trying to avoid falling a game and a half behind the Astros in the American League West. Mentioned the Mariners, of course, having one of the 3 wildcard spots in the American League right now. After the series with the Phillies, they go back home and take on their AL West rival Athletics. That's also a must-win series for them. As I mentioned, the next 2 series for the Mets are pretty much must-win series for them. As we are getting down to the final 5 weeks of the season, 5.5 weeks of the season in Major League Baseball. As we are under 40 games remaining before postseason play begins. In the major leagues, Raley's finished after just 1 inning tonight for the Mets. As it's going to be Reed Garrett coming on to pitch here in the 7th. Garrett on for the 52nd time, 3-5 record, 3.1 ERA, 23 walks, 59 strikeouts, 49 1/3 innings for Garrett. So Raley goes an inning, gives up a hit, walks 1 and strikes out 1 as he threw 21 pitches. Young leading it off in the 7th for the Mariners. He's 0 for 2 tonight. And the first pitch, top 7, is a strike down the middle. Young, and then the top of the order are Arozarena and Raleigh. Young fouls it off, and he's in an 0-2 hole. Here comes the strike 2 pitch. Just missed the outside corner, a ball and 2 strikes. The count on Young. 1-2 pitch down low. Evens the count 2-2. Here comes the 2-2. Inside, and Young has battled back to a full count here, 3-2. Three-two payoff is on the ground to first. Taking it himself is Alonso, and stepping on the bag for the first out here in the top of the seventh. And here's the top of the order, Arozarena. 0 for 2. He struck out twice and he's been hit by a pitch. And the pitch to Arozarena is inside for ball one. The 1-0 pitch rather is fouled off. That'll even the count, a ball and a strike. As Mr. and Mrs. Met have made an appearance in the seats along the first base side. 1-1 pitch is down low, 2-1. Two-one pitch. Arozarena fouls it off, and the count's even now, 2-2. Two-two pitch to Arozarena. Arozarena lines this into right field, and Arozarena is going to have his first hit of the night with one of the more interesting-looking bats I have ever seen. Arozarena singles to right field. A bat that literally looks like a pencil. Here's Cal Raleigh. Raleigh is 0 for 3 tonight. Swing and a miss, strike one, as the fans try to get the wave going again. Arozarena the lead from first. Raleigh sends it in the air to left. That's hit pretty well, and that is gone. Cal Raleigh goes deep for the 47th time this year and drives in runs 101 and 102, and it makes it a 7-3 ball game. That ball hit the netting above the left field fence, which is a home run at Bowman Field. And the Mariners on the comeback trail here, now down by 4. Rodriguez, the batter, hits it foul, strike one. Rodriguez 1 for 3. He has a double in the game, and he scored the run back in the 4th inning. Here's the strike one pitch on the way to Rodriguez from Garrett. Swing and a miss. That puts Rodriguez in an 0-2 hole. Garrett steps off before the 0-2 pitch. Everybody set, and Garrett's 0-2 pitch to Rodriguez on the way. Down low, that's a ball and 2 strikes now, the count on Rodriguez. Naylor on deck for the Mariners. One-two pitch. Down low again. That evens the count, 2-2. Two-two pitch on the way from Garrett to Rodriguez. Low and outside, and Rodriguez has battled back from 0-2 down to a full count. Here's the 3-2 payoff pitch to Rodriguez. Fouled away. We'll do it again. And here will be pitch number 7 of the at-bat. Three-two. Swing and a miss. Rodriguez strikes out. That's out number 2 here in the top of the 7th. And it will bring up Naylor. Naylor's hitless in 3 at-bats tonight. Naylor fouls the pitch back for strike 1. Going to be a big MVP debate in the American League between Cal Raleigh and Aaron Judge. Here's the strike 1 pitch. In the air, shallow center field, Lindor calling. And Lindor's got it for the 3rd out, and that retires the Mariners in the top of the 7th. But a Cal Raleigh 2-run home run has brought the Mariners a little bit closer in this one, as it is stretch time at the Little League Classic in Williamsport. Mets lead the Mariners 7-3. And for the Mets in the bottom of the 7th, it's going to be the 6, 7, and 8 hitters. Alvarez, Beatty, and Vientos. Salcedo has pitched an inning and a third. He's thrown 16 pitches. Will he be back out there here for the 7th inning is the question. Back to that MVP discussion I was talking about between Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh. I don't know how at this point you cannot give it to Raleigh. I know we still have 6 weeks left in the season, 5-6 weeks left. But I don't know how you cannot not give that MVP award to Cal Raleigh at this point. I know Aaron Judge still has some great numbers, even with missing some time. But it just seems like it's Cal Raleigh's award to lose at this point, as he just went deep for the 47th time in the top half of this inning. And both teams, of course, in the playoff discussion. I know they say that never comes into play, but it does. So we'll see how that goes for this final stretch of the season here, as it appears Salcedo is going to be back out there for the Mariners here in the bottom of the 7th inning. As Alvarez will lead it off in the bottom of the 7th for the Mets. Alvarez has 2 hits tonight, a double and a single. Drove in a run and scored twice. And it is Salcedo continuing on the mound for the Mariners. Good to see all the little leaguers in attendance, and they are having a blast out there, you can tell. First pitch, bottom 7 from Salcedo is low for ball 1. 1-0 pitch. Strike 1. And the Mariners and Mets mascots are both in attendance, as well as Dugout, the official Little League Baseball mascot. Out enjoying time with the fans as well. That's hit to right, and that's going to be off the wall in right field. Rounding first and heading for second, and just in under the tag is Alvarez for his 3rd hit of the night. Boy, that was a strike thrown by the right fielder, Canzoni, but just late to get Alvarez at second base. And Alvarez has his 2nd double of the night, and Mendoza going out to look at Alvarez, who might have been shaken up on that slide into second base. Trainer out there to have a look at him as well. Slid in a little bit hard there to second base there. So may have just got the wind knocked out of him momentarily. But their trainer looking at Alvarez's right hand. Don't know if he jammed it. I didn't see that offhand when they just showed the replay. I don't know if he jammed it sliding into second base. But the trainer really looking at Alvarez's right hand here. Alvarez looks like he's going to stick it out. It's his right thumb. Looks like that's bothering him there. They're showing the replay one more time here. Didn't see anything offhand there. Just like maybe he slid his right thumb real hard into the bag at second base and jammed it a little bit. He's still there at second base, and Beatty is the batter showing bunt and taking strike 1. Beatty, 1 for 3, has an RBI single on the night. RBI number 39 on the season for him. Strike 1 pitch, a swing and a miss, and now Beatty's now in an 0-2 hole. Oh, 2 pitch. Called strike 3, and Beatty knew it. He started walking back to the dugout before the strike 3 call was made. 1 out. That's the 3rd strikeout for Salcedo since coming into this game in relief. And the batter will be Vientos. Vientos 2 for 2 on the night. That's hit to short. And the throw over to first is in time for the 2nd out. Alvarez does advance to 3rd on the play. So 2 down now for the Mets, and it's going to be up to Mullins to keep the inning alive. Mullins is 1 for 3 on the night. Singled and scored a run. Swing and a miss here, strike 1. Looking ahead to the Mariners' 8th inning, it's going to be the 5, 6, and 7 hitters of Suarez, Polanco, and Canzone. Here's the strike one pitch to Cedric Mullins. Little low, ball and a strike now. One pitch. On the ground, foul. That is now a ball and 2 strikes on Cedric Mullins. Ryan Helsley starting to loosen in the Mets bullpen to see if we see him in the top of the 8th. 1-2 pitch is fouled again, first base side. Salcedo trying to get this final out and keep the Mets off the scoreboard in the 7th inning. And here's the 1-2 pitch. Up high, 2-2. Two-two pitch on the way. Mullins sends it in the air to right field. Playable out there. For Canzone for the 3rd out, and the Mets do not score in the 7th off the leadoff double. On to the 8th we go. Mets 7, Mariners 3. And again, it's going to be 5, 6, and 7. Suarez, Polanco, and Canzone. In the 8th inning for the Mariners. And will it be against Ryan Helsley? The Salcedo for the Mariners has done an excellent job since coming in relief for the starter Kirby. He's now gone 2 1/3 innings and just allowed the 1 hit and thrown 29 pitches. He's probably thrown his last pitch of the night, but he has done a good job preventing any further damage from the Mets. But the Mariners still find themselves trailing by 4 and have just 6 outs left in this game to try and complete a rally. As the Mariners look to avoid losing this series and avoid falling a game and a half behind the Houston Astros in the American League West. Still waiting to see who's going to come on to pitch for the Mets here in the 8th inning. It is going to be Helsley coming into the game. So Garrett's line, he goes an inning, gives up 2 hits and 2 runs, both of them earned. He gave up that Raleigh home run, didn't walk any and struck out 1. So Helsley comes in for the Mets. This is his 8th overall appearance as a Met in a Mets uniform. Came over from the Cardinals. ERA is a little inflated since coming over to the Mets, 8.44. Walked 3, struck out 7 in 5 1/3 innings. Overall, an ERA of 3.7 on the season. And the first pitch, top of the 8th inning, is fouled away for strike 1. On Helsley's questionnaire, like they fill out in this game, like they do for all the Little Leaguers at the Little League World Series, he would like to meet Scott Scheffler. That's a good pick. Scheffler getting his 5th win of the season as he wins the second leg of the PGA Tour playoffs today, winning the BMW Championship. 0-1 pitch is fouled back, and it is now an 0-2 count. On the leadoff hitter for the Mariners here at the top of the 8th inning, Suarez. Suarez is 1 for 3 on the night. Oh-2 pitch from Helsley to Suarez. Outside, a ball and 2 strikes. Helsley's 1-2 pitch. Hit foul, and we'll do it again. At the conclusion of this live stream, we'll run down the Major League Baseball scoreboard for you one last time. Before signing off for the evening. Helsley steps back in and gets set to deliver a 1-2 pitch. Down low, 2-2 now. The count on Suarez. Suarez will be followed by Polanco and Canzone. 2-2 pitch. Called strike 3 at the knees. Suarez looks at that one. And there's the first out here in the 8th. Suarez on his way back to the dugout saying something to the home plate umpire, Nate Tomlinson. So here's Polanco. Polanco 2 hits on the night. And that pitch misses low for ball 1. Appeal to the third base umpire on a swing, and he says no. Double and a single with a run batted in tonight for Polanco. He swings through that one. 1-1 the count. Helsley looks in, and now Polanco steps out momentarily. Helsley delivers the 1-1 pitch to Polanco. Swing and a miss again, and now Polanco's behind the count, of ball and 2 strikes. By the way, we do have a new catcher for the Mets, which we'll tell you about here in just a second. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Back-to-back strikeouts for Helsley here in the 8th. Luis Torrens is the new Mets catcher behind the plate. Checked in here in the top of this 8th inning. So here's Canzone with 2 out, nobody on for the Mariners here in the 8th. It's 1 for 2 tonight with a single, and he's reached on a walk. And ball 1 low. 100 miles an hour on that fastball from Helsley. Comes the 1-0 pitch. Down low again, it's 2-0. Mariners would like to get Cal Raleigh another shot at the plate. They're going to have to get one more base runner on to guarantee him a shot. 2-0 pitch down low. It's now 3-0. .30 pitch on the way. Let's see if he has a green light here. Taking all the way, and it's a strike. 3-1 now. 3-1 pitch on the way. Inside, ball 4. Helsley wondering where that missed. Apparently it was called inside. And it's a 2-out walk. And the batter will be J.P. Crawford. Crawford fouls it off for strike 1. Crawford has singled and reached on a walk tonight. A 1 pitch. Up high, ball and a strike now. The count on Crawford. Mariners a runner at first, 2 outs here in the 8th, trailing by 4. The 1-1 pitch is on the outside corner for strike 2. One-two pitch on the way to J.P. Crawford. Up high, 2-2. Young is on deck. Helsley brings the 2-2 pitch on the way to J.P. Crawford. Time called by Crawford as he steps out. Crawford steps back in and awaits another 2-2 pitch, and it's fouled away, and we'll do it again. Canzone, the runner at first, and a 2-2 pitch on the way. Hit foul, third base side, out of play. Another 2-2 offering is coming. Another 2-2 on the way to J.P. Crawford. Helsley steps off. The 2-2 pitch. In the air to left, that is going to trickle foul. And this will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat coming up. Again, the Mariners enter the night a game behind the Astros in the American League West. 2-2 misses outside, and the count runs full, 3-2. Ninth pitch of the at-bat right here, a 3-2 payoff. Runner goes. Hit to first. The throw over to Helsley covering, and that ends the inning. The Mariners leave a runner. Top of the order due up for the Mets in the bottom of the 8th inning as they still lead this game 7-3. Mariners have now left 8 runners on base tonight. Both teams have actually left 8 runners on base tonight. So Helsley throws a 24-pitch eighth inning, but gets out of it with no damage. And the Mets 3 outs away from getting their first series win in a little while. As we will see who will come on to pitch for the Mariners here in the eighth inning. Again, updates on my streams this week. For sure, we'll be back with you Saturday to do 2 college football games with the college football season kicking off on Saturday. We'll be with you for the noon Eastern time kickoff from Ireland between Iowa State and Kansas State. Then be back with you later that evening for the FCS kickoff between UC Davis and Mercer. Going to try to do a couple Major League games during the week, Major League Baseball games during the week. That's going to depend on how the work schedule goes. But hope to be with you for a couple times during the midweek. It's going to be Jackson Kowar coming in to pitch for the Mariners. So he'll be in for the 14th time on the year. 2-0 record, 4.2 ERA. 4 walks and 12 strikeouts in 15 innings. So the final numbers on Salcedo, 2 1/3 innings, just gave up 1 hit. Struck out 3 through 29 pitches. Kept the Mets off the scoreboard in his time in the game. Top of the order for the Mets, Lindor, Soto, and Nimmo here in the bottom of the 8th inning, with the Mets leading 7-3. Kowar in to face Lindor, and a strike called. Lindor 3 for 4 tonight. Singled twice, doubled, and drove in a run as Lindor fouls that off, and he's down in the count now, 0-2. Oh, 2 pitch on the way. Upstairs, a ball and 2 strikes. Looking ahead to the Mariners' 9th inning, it's going to be 9-1-2. Young, Arozarena, and Raleigh. So Raleigh will be guaranteed to get another at bat. Lindor swings and misses for strike 3. And Kowar comes in and gets a strikeout of Lindor for the first out of the bottom of the 8th. And it will bring up Juan Soto. It's 0 for 2 officially, but he has reached a couple times on a couple walks. And that's low for ball 1. This is showing my age here on these questionnaires to these Major League Baseball players. They have a couple, 2 or 3 of them, have listed their favorite entertainer as Bad Bunny. And I'm going to show my age here because I have absolutely no clue who that is. The 1-1 pitch is down low to Soto, 2-1. Two-one pitch on the way. Outside, and the count now goes to 3-1. Three-one delivery on the way to Soto. Down low for ball 4. Soto walks for the 3rd time tonight, and he's aboard with 1 out. And the batter will be Nimmo. Nimmo hitless in 4 attempts tonight. Soto, the lead from first base, and the pitch on the way is outside to Nimmo for ball 1. One 0 pitch on the way. Hit foul. That'll even the count, a ball and a strike. One pitch on the way. Upstairs, 2-1 now, the count on Nimmo. Two 1 pitches right there down the middle, strike 2. And Soto takes second base without even a throw down. He got a heck of a jump. Nimmo threw into left center field for a base hit. Soto had to hold up to see if the ball was going to be fielded, so he's going to have to stop at third. And the Mets have runners at the corners with 1 out in the 8th inning. And it'll bring up the cleanup hitter, Pete Alonso. Alonso 1 for 3 tonight. He singled and scored a run. And he's also reached on a walk. Pitch on the way to Pete Alonso. On the ground, foul, strike 1. Pete Alonso facing Jackson Kowar here. They were teammates at the University of Florida back in 2016. Alonso swings and misses. And he's behind his old former teammate 0-2. Alonso steps out prior to the 0-2 pitch. Pitch. Here it is. Swing and a miss. So Alonso strikes out against his former teammate. And there are 2 out in the 8th. And it will bring up the DH, McNeil. McNeil has a 2-hit night, 2 for 4. He scored a couple runs as well. Pitch to McNeil, grounded to first, and taking it himself. Backing up to the bag at first base is Naylor, and that does it for the Mets in the 8th inning. They get runners at first and third, but do not score. We head to the 9th. Last chance for the Mariners as they trail this game 7-3. With the 2 more runners left on here for the Mets, they have now left 10 runners on base tonight. Mariners have left 8. Defensive change here for the Mets. Luis Angel Acuna is now at second base. Beatty, who was at second base, will move over to third. And the fifth pitcher of the night for the Mets coming in to try to get these final 3 outs. It's going to be Tyler Rogers, making his 9th appearance in a Mets uniform. He came over from the Giants. Numbers with the Mets, he's on for the 9th time. 0-1 record with an ERA of 2.16. Got a walk and a strikeout in 8 1/3 innings. He's on to get the final 3 outs in this one and send the Mets to a series victory against the Seattle Mariners. And it would pull the Mets. It would keep them in that 3rd and final wild card spot and would pull them within 5 of the Phillies in the National League East. Rogers will come on and face Young, Rosarena, and Raleigh. Mariners will need to get 3 men on to be able to get the tying run to the plate. First pitch, top 9. Rogers, one of those almost underhand throwers on the mound. Young is 0 for 3 tonight, and Young's quickly in an 0-2 hole as he's taken the first 2 strikes from Rogers. Oh, 0-2 pitch coming from Rice to Young. Hit foul. Young stays alive. Another 0-2 pitch coming. Just got a piece of that one to foul it off. Rogers gets set to deliver another 0-2 pitch to Cole Young. Popped foul. It's going to stay in play, and the third baseman, which is now Beatty, makes the catch for out number 1. And now it's the top of the order, Rosarena. Rosarena 1 for 3. Singled, and he's been hit by a pitch. Struck out his other 2 times. That pitch misses outside for ball 1. One 0 pitch is outside. Rosarena now ahead of the count, 2-0. Rosarena pops the 2-0 pitch foul and out of play. Makes it 2 balls and 1 strike. Rosarena steps back in and awaits the 2-1 pitch from Rogers. Popped up. Shallow right field. Back goes the second baseman, which is now Acuna, and he's got it. And the Mariners are down to their final out, and it's up to their big slugger, Cal Raleigh, to keep the game alive. Raleigh hit the 2-run home run his last at bat for his 47th of the year. Pitch to Raleigh is popped foul. Will it stay in play? It will not, as Beatty will not be able to get to that one. Strike one. A 1 pitch coming. Raleigh lines this one into left for a base hit, and Raleigh will keep the game alive for at least one more batter. Raleigh's second hit tonight, and it will bring up Rodriguez. Rodriguez has a 1-for-4 evening going. Mariners still need to get 2 more on base to get the tying run up. Rodriguez has a double and a run scored tonight. That's hit foul, strike one. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. From Rogers to Rodriguez. That's lined into right field. That's going to be a base hit. So the Mariners have 2 on with 2 outs, as Raleigh will head to third. And the Mariners are 1 batter away from being able to get the tying run up. And Naylor will be the batter. He's got an 0-for-4 night going. Nobody in the Mets bullpen as of right now. As Josh Naylor tries to keep it alive for the Mariners and get the tying run to the plate. That's bounced to second. Acuna over to first, and the Mets have won it 7-3. The Mets take 2 of 3 over the Seattle Mariners. As the Mets pull within 5 now of the National League East leading Philadelphia Phillies. Mets maintain that third wild card spot in the National League. The Mariners fall a game and a half behind the Astros in the American League West as they fall to 68-57. Mets improve to 66-58. Seven runs, 14 hits, no errors for the Mets. 3 runs, 10 hits, no errors for the Mariners. Holmes gets the win as he gets now to double digits in the win column. He's now 10-6. Kirby suffers the loss for the Mariners. He's now 8-6 on the season. Cal Raleigh does hit his 47th home run of the year in a losing effort. With RBIs 101 and 102. So the Mets win it 7-3. And let's give you one last look at the Major League scoreboard before we sign off of here tonight. Mets stay 5 behind the Phillies because the Phillies won in Washington today, 11-9. Marlins 5, Red Sox 3 at Fenway. Rangers over the Blue Jays 10-4. Braves sweep Cleveland in Cleveland 5-4. The Reds snap the Brewers' 14-game winning streak, winning it 3-2 in 10. Orioles 12-0 over the Astros. Royals sweep the White Sox 6-2. Twins 8, Tigers 1 to avoid the sweep there. Yankees do get the sweep in St. Louis over the Cardinals 8-4. Cubs 4, Pirates 3 at Wrigley. Rockies beat the Diamondbacks 6-5. Giants snapped their 7-game losing streak as they beat the Rays 7-1. Angels in 10, 11-5 winners over the A's. Dodgers 5, Padres 4. Dodgers sweep that series to go 2 up in the NL West. And, of course, in this one, it's the Mets 7 and the Mariners 3. Again, appreciate you joining me, everyone. My name is John. Again, Sports Bonanza John, my YouTube handle. If you like what I do here, appreciate a like and subscribe there. Would greatly appreciate it. Also on Kick Tonight, Sports Kick John. Also have some content on Twitch at Sport Guru John. And again, I will for sure be with you Saturday for a couple of college football games. And again, hope to be able to be with you for a couple games, couple major league games during the week, depending. We'll see how the work schedule goes. But for sure, we'll be with you Saturday for a couple of college football games. Appreciate you joining me on the live stream tonight, everyone. And we will talk to you, if not before, talk to you on Saturday. God bless everyone.